Happy Monday. I'm back live. It's been so long since I've been live. It feels odd to be back live. Anyway, happy Monday. Today is the 21st day of March, and this is the 56th episode of season 3 of the Be Your Own Hero Show. HERO is an acronym. It means helping everyone reaps optimism. In other words, helping others helps you. It's reciprocal action. I'm your host. I'm Sekou. I'm a professional creative and the creator of the HERO Ministry movement, which is my effort to uplift and inspire the unhoused community and people in general because it has expanded. Shout out to New Thought Media Network for allowing me this platform to explore and talk about my journey of becoming my own hero. Check me out here Monday through Friday, 9:45 a.m. Eastern, 8:45 a.m. Central, 7:45 a.m. Mountain. And if this show provides any value, please like, please comment, please share, please share, please share. Okay, so quick disclaimer. I am not a personal trainer, nor am I a financial advisor, so do your own due diligence. And thanks for tuning in live. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Okay, so we need to get into some HERO Ministry movement news. I feel like this is going to be a special edition of the show because I got a lot to talk about. Shout out to Tim for watching live with the water and coffee. Appreciate that. All right, so let's talk about the run streak. Today is day 294 of my run streak. That means I've been running every day, at least a mile a day for now, 294 days in a row. That's less than 75 days to get to day 365. Ticking on down to day 365. Never thought I'd be here, but very excited to be chasing 365. But let's talk about the weekend. Let's talk about the weekend. And we'll see how much time I have left over after I talk about the weekend. So, you know what? I might have to show the run report. Morning, Linda. Thanks for checking in. So I might have to show the run report for this past weekend. But while I think about that, let me explain. So day 292 was Saturday, and Saturday will go down as one of the most epic runs ever. So if you don't follow me on social media, you haven't seen all the info. But here's the deal. There was a race that I participated in on Saturday. And listen to this now. It was a 51-mile race. 51 miles from Selma, Alabama to Montgomery, Alabama. 51 miles. It was a relay race. So every person in the race would run X number of miles and then hand the baton off to the next person who would run another X number of miles, all the way up to 51 miles. Incredible, right? Incredible. So there's so many things to say about that. I learned about it through Black Men Run. They were talking about it kind of casually. And I was kind of popping in and out of town, as you know. So I was like, wait a minute. Because it took me a while to process. I was like, wait, relay race. And then when it finally hit me that they were saying a 51-mile race from one city to another city, I was like, stop. Explain this to me. This is the thing that happens. And they were like, yeah, it's the thing that happens. We signed up. We have a Black Men Run Nashville team. Black Men Run didn't create it. This group called, what's the name of this group? Civil Rights Race Series. It's called the Civil Rights Race Series. So we'll get into the civil rights aspects of it in a minute. But the Civil Rights Race Series created this event, and Black Men Run Nashville created a team, and the team consisted of members of Black Men Run from all over the country. And you might have heard me say this before, but I thought that Black Men Run was only a Nashville thing. And then later I found out that it's national. And then later I found out that it's international. And even though I know that it's national, international, seeing all these Black men wearing Black Men Run shirts in one city was mind-boggling. And all of them are talking about being from different cities. Like it was surreal. So I'm all over the place in terms of my chronology, but forgive me, I'm just really excited about this event. So back to how this happened. So they were talking about this 51-mile relay from one city to another, and I was like, I just need to see that. I just need to see it. So I reached out to Nissan. I told Nissan about it, and I was like, listen, Nissan, we got to be a part of this, and give me the biggest vehicle you can. And then what I will do is I will go and I will pick up the runners as they end their leg, right? Because again, we're talking about a massive 51-mile race. So they need someone to pick up the runners as they go and bring them along. So Nissan was really excited about it. They gave me a Nissan Armada, which is as big as it sounds. It's a very big SUV. And so that was my intention, to go and be a driver and take pictures and video. But at the last minute, one of the runners on the team called in sick, said, I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm not going to be able to make it to Alabama. I can't do it. And since I was already on my way, I got the call. Which changed everything, because I was going to just leave Saturday morning and go straight to the run and just, be there as a driver. But because I got the call to participate, I was like, all right, well, let me go up Friday night, spend the night, get my mind right to be in this race. So not only was I going to be documenting it, now I'm becoming a part of it. So shout out to the universe for that, for allowing me to be a part of this historic race. Now, the civil rights element. So as you may have thought when I said the cities, there is a civil rights overlap here. So the marches of March 1965 were the three marches that led up to the Voting Rights Act. The Voting Rights Act ended discrimination in voting, meaning it allowed Black people to vote. So up until then, the civil rights movement was pushing for this act, pushing for Blacks to be able to vote without any block to their being able to vote. Ooh. Okay, quick sidebar. My play, Brown Boy Mad, addresses the right to vote and how people think that that's an old fight that's over with, and it's still a fight today. So shout out to my play. Check it out if you can. The right to vote is still very much an issue, even right now in 2022. Anyway, back to the story. So in March of 1965, the first march was on March 7th. And that is the march that became known as Bloody Sunday. It was on a Sunday, and Martin Luther King Jr. and many of his followers and many people who were agitating for growth and change started off in Selma, Alabama, on their way to the Capitol in Montgomery, Alabama. And they only made it as far as the Pettus Bridge before they were attacked by everyone, really, but attacked not only by just racists who were there, but also by the actual state troopers who were using billy clubs and tear gas. And, they beat a woman unconscious, and it was this pandemonium. The reason why this is significant, aside from, the gruesomeness of what I'm explaining, is because there were TV crews there to cover this historic march from Selma to Montgomery. The fact that there were TV crews there changed the scope of this movement at the time, because people had not seen that brutality outside of small pockets. But the TV cameras took it national, took it international, and there was this global outcry against the violence against Black people that was happening in Selma, Alabama. And so there were two subsequent marches. The second march by Martin Luther King and those same group got to the Pettus Bridge, and then on the other side of the Pettus Bridge, the National Guardsmen, who had previously beaten them only a week or so before, spread themselves out to the side and created a tunnel for them to walk through. And there's been a lot of debate about what happened there, but it seemed like Martin Luther King Jr. felt like that was a trap and did not want to walk between those two columns of state troopers who had just beaten and bludgeoned them. And so he went back. And then the third march, which happened literally today, literally on March 21st, 1965, was the march that was successful. They marched peacefully from Selma, Alabama, 51 miles all the way to Montgomery, Alabama, to the state capitol. And that is the exact route of the race. The race starts in Selma. It goes over that iconic bridge, the Pettus Bridge that I just talked about, and all the way up to Montgomery, Alabama, all the way up to the Capitol. So it was surreal on so many levels to be thinking about what they must have experienced on that route. It's a straight shot. It's one highway, Highway 80, and it's a straight shot, long and often desolate. And it was hard enough with us. I can't imagine how it must have been in 1965 with fear of being hurt badly along that route. So it was a very, very impactful experience. And it took them days to make to Birmingham. They spent the night on the road. And it took us, my team, it took us from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. From 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And there were other teams that did it faster. But anyway, the point is, this event was created in homage to those marches of 1965. And what better way to pay honor to that than to actually travel the route that they traveled to affect change during that time. So that said, so many other things. That said, we converged in Montgomery, because everyone, when I start to explain this, needs to know the logistics. Okay, so we converged in Montgomery, meaning people drove into, however they took buses, however they got to Montgomery, we all converged in Montgomery on Friday. Early in the morning on Saturday, we traveled to Selma, to the starting line. The starting line was literally just over the Pettus Bridge into Selma. And I've never been to Selma, but it's really like, it looks like a soundstage, meaning a movie set. It looks like a movie set that was designed to look old. And when we got there, it was early in the morning. It was like 5 something in the morning. So it was still dark outside, so we couldn't tell. The only thing we could really see was the bridge. And that was pretty impactful. But once the sun came up, the town looks like it hasn't changed since the 60s. Like, the buildings are very much the same. They look very old, very dilapidated, but the architecture is, they don't seem to be in, it doesn't seem like there's been any updates. Like, from the photos that I've seen of Selma from way back in the day, that is what downtown looks like. So that was a little surreal. Anyway, there were throngs of people assembled for this race, all colors, all nationalities, men, women, all these groups traveled to this area to be a part of this historic race. And this was the first time it happened. It was supposed to happen in 2020, but pandemic. And then they did it virtually, I think, in maybe both 2020 and 2021. But this was the first time it happened where everyone came and was physically there. So it was a new experience for them, the organizers, obviously a new experience for us, the people who were involved. And just to emphasize again, because people keep asking me this was not a Black Men Run event. It was created by this group called the Civil Rights Race Series, and anybody could participate. It was open to everyone, and you could participate however you wanted. The classic way that was created by the Civil Rights Race Series is 9 legs of multiple miles. So 4 miles, 5 miles, 6 miles. The longest leg was 9.6 miles, and the shortest leg was 3 miles, basically a 5K. So each of the people on the team would run X number of miles and hand a baton to someone else for 9 different legs. But while I was there, I saw that some people did it differently. Some people only had 2 people. There was 2 white women that just did it themselves. So one of them ran the first leg, handed it off. The other woman ran the next leg, and then they handed off to each other all the way through. So basically, they both ran a marathon. Incredible stamina, incredible willpower. Also, some people ran the whole thing. The whole 51 miles. Some people did that. I mean, it was really really a spectacular experience. I'm so glad that I got to be not only there, but got to be a part of it. Oh, and I was the anchor leg, which means that I was the final leg of the race. So I was the one that crossed the finish line for our team, which was also surreal, just running up to the Capitol in Montgomery. It was a surreal moment. So anyway, here is my bib. This is bib number 9. You see in the background there, it's probably hard to see here, but in the background, that is an actual photo from the march on Montgomery way a long time ago. Look at all the throngs of people back there. And also, we got some medals for making it. This is one of the medals. It's a serious medal, right? Here's one of the medals. And it says the Civil Rights Race Series right here at the bottom. And I'm assuming that this is the capital of Montgomery, right? And then there's also specifically a Black Man Run medal as well. And we also placed, my team, the team that I was on, placed. So very happy about that. Very happy about that. I'm not sure where we placed, but we placed. I found out after I got back to Nashville that we placed, and there's yet another medal that we will be awarded for our team's time. And yeah, it was a tremendous experience. And I remember one of my teammates talking about the run getting difficult for him. And while it got difficult for him, he started thinking about our ancestors and what it must have been like for them traveling this route in broad daylight, in suits, in church shoes, and being fearful. It must have been so much harder for them, and that helps him push through to run faster and complete the race faster. So there was that kind of energy all throughout the day. And you can imagine the conversation that we had in the Nissan Armada had those types of undertones throughout. And by the way, I'm so grateful to Nissan for providing me with the Armada. The Armada became the traveling VIP room. So again, logistically, the way we did it is I had about half of the 9 runners from our team in the Armada, right? So what we did is we drove early in the morning on Saturday. We drove from Montgomery to Selma to be at the start line. And the start line of this race was incredible. Like, I've never seen anything like it. It was kind of like homecoming, HBCU homecoming at Morehouse Spelman when all the AUC comes together. It was kind of like that. It was a massive, joyful celebration, even though there are these civil rights undertones. The feeling tone of that start was very joyful. And there were DJs at 6 o'clock in the morning. There were DJs and smoke machines and light shows, and BMR, Black Men Run, was really like a fraternity. And so was Black Girls Run. And there were other groups there. And I was like, okay, everybody from Black Men Run get together and take a photo, no matter what city you're from. And our team had folks from Memphis, from Knoxville, from Detroit. We had all those people travel to be a part of our team, and other teams were likely the same. So it was great to feel like part of this national fraternity that I didn't even know that I was a part of in that way. You know, it was just a phenomenal experience. Anyway, there were both bicyclists and runners. The bicyclists went out first. They traveled the same route all the way to the Capitol in Montgomery, and the runners left around 15 minutes after them. So circling back to my point about the Nissan Armada, so I drove us all the way to Selma for the start line. And then after everybody went out, my job was to get us in front of our runner, our first runner, to the next checkpoint so that he could swap out with the next runner. So runner number 2 was in my car. I had to get in front of runner number 1 who was running. So I got to the first checkpoint, and then they swapped. When the first runner got in, he took a minute to cool off, get something to drink, etc., while the second runner went out. And then the first runner got back in my car, and then we just leapfrogged leapfrog to each different checkpoint to let the runners exchange. And it was great to have this VIP, rolling VIP room via the Nissan Armada so that everybody could get a chance to take a breath and chill, sometimes take a nap because we got up really early, and just wait for the next runner to come in, because we couldn't quite tell when the next runner would come in. We're talking about hours because of the long distances that were being traveled. You know, we were waiting for hours sometimes. So it was very helpful to have a space to be in and a kind of a home base. So again, shout out to Nissan for that. And I was the final leg. So after I picked everybody up from my cohort, I took them straight to Montgomery to the hotel so that they could relax, unwind. And then I came back out 3 miles to run my final leg into the Capitol to the finish line a few hours later. So it was an amazing experience. I can't say that enough. I pushed myself a bit on my final leg because the hype and the pomp and circumstance and the hype, and there were other people from my team there. They're like, oh, so there was a lot of energy. So I exerted myself quite a bit. There are some photos of me laid out on a lawn in front of the Capitol in Montgomery, laid out on the grass, trying to catch my breath because I pushed a little. And the final approach to the Capitol in Montgomery just happens to be uphill. So it was a last uphill push. It was challenging. But a couple of my teammates came and ran with me, right beside me and right behind me, up to the finish line. So I can't wait to see the professional photos of that, because I can imagine that looks pretty epic. So very excited to have been a part of this at all. I mean, what an epic run. I'm definitely going back. I gotta, now that I've seen what it is, and then I got to figure out some logistics to make it work a little better, but I'm definitely going back. By the way, in case this is fascinating to you, also, there were walkers. I also already mentioned the bicyclists, but yeah, there were walkers too. So it didn't matter how long it took you. What mattered was the sense of camaraderie, the sense of history. And so there were people from the very beginning, from Selma, who started off walking over the bridge, and they took photos and all that. So don't be discouraged. Don't think, oh, I can't go because I can't run that far. No, you can go and you can create your own team and do it however you want to do it. It took all day, I understand. There were still people coming in at night because it took all day. So anyway, check it out. Once again, this is called the Selma to Montgomery Relay and Bike Ride. You can see that up at the top, kind of. Yeah, it was amazing. So check that out next March 2023. Okay. That was good. That was good. So let me check the comments and see what people are saying about this. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So thanks, Fee. Fee King is saying, good on me for being spontaneous. Yeah. For being able to say yes. And all of this is a build, right? I was able to say yes because I've been doing this run streak. So I felt comfortable saying yes. So I didn't have to really think about it. I was like, yeah, I mean, I've been doing this work. I've been running every day, at least a mile a day for 200 some odd days in a row. Yeah, I can jump in, I can sub in. And that said, there were some things that didn't go the way I wanted them to. And I think, let's just talk about that for a second. There's some things that didn't go the way I wanted them to. Like in my mind, my alarm's telling me to wrap it up. So I think this is going to be the crux of the show today, me talking about this run. But in my mind, when I found out I was the anchor leg, that started playing out in a certain way in my mind. My visualization of what that would look like played a certain way. And that's not how it looked. For a number of different reasons. One of which was the route all day had been a straight shot. So a long straight highway, and I'm picking up everyone as I went. And so in my mind, I guess, I kind of assumed that my route would be a straight shot. and my route was not a straight shot. And then even when I asked for a route map from my location to the finish line, and they didn't have a route map, but the woman who I was asking explained it, and it sounded like a straight shot. She was like, you know, you're going to make a left right here, and then you're going to make a right, and then it's all the way to the Capitol. No, that was incorrect. That was incorrect. And there was signage in the neighborhood that I was zipping through. There were these big arrows. But after a while, the arrow stopped. Like when I got relatively close to downtown, there were no arrows. So I was like, wait, has it been knocked over? Like, where are the arrows? I couldn't find them. So I don't know if I followed the exact route to get to the finish line, the intended route. I got to the finish line, but I don't know if I got there the way I was supposed to. When I couldn't find any more signage, I just looked for tall buildings and ran towards downtown. So I don't know if I lost any time there is my point. And so there were a couple of things like that. And the other thing was I was surprised by how flustered I got by getting lost. That sense of getting lost, not knowing which direction I was going in, that flustered me a bit. And I found those negative voices popping up immediately, which was really surprising to me given how many days I've been doing this, how many days I've replaced that negative talk with positive talk. But still, under pressure, the negative voices came up just like that. And literally since that day, I've been listening to subliminal recordings every night to help chip away at that negativity that is still apparently buried down deep within me. It came up under pressure. And it's just a reminder that the work that you do at the surface is not the work that you have to do in here. Like the in here stuff only comes out under pressure. And that's the real work. That's the real work. Being aware of how much work needs to be done to keep your mind where it needs to be under pressure. So that was sobering for me. And it has already started to guide my steps and will continue to guide my steps in my quest to get to day 365. I'm going to spend much more time on mindset because honestly, after 290 days, I thought I was good. Like all day driving people around, I thought I was good. I was like, I'm about to kill this last leg. You know what I mean? Like there was nothing in my conscious mind that alerted me to the idea that I might contract under pressure, but I definitely did. Now, all that said, I'll give myself props for having a last kick. And for those of you that didn't run track, it is what it sounds like. A last kick is that last little bit of extra gear at the end. So as I mentioned, I was running with a few guys from my team towards the end, and they said later that when I kicked, they couldn't keep up with me. So that, somewhere close to the finish line, I felt it. Like I knew that I was going for it. I was like, I gotta finish strong. And I remember just ducking my head and pumping my arms and going for it. And so I give myself credit for that, coming across strong, so much so that I had to lay down for a bit to catch my breath. But also, I am aware of the fact that when the chips were down, my mind went to dark places, and I've got to work on that. I'm glad to know that there's that work to be done, and I've got to do the work. So there we go. And with that, I've used all my time for today. So no abundance today. Let's just end with our meditation, our affirmation, so that we can keep that going, keep that top of mind. And there it is. I am so happy and grateful to be a multi-millionaire in every area of my life. In every area of my life. So mañana we'll get back to abundance, unless I think of some more things I want to say about this race, because it was pretty impactful for me. Shout out to Black Men Run for allowing me the honor of being the final leg of this epic race. Shout out to Civil Rights Race Series for having the mindset to create such a thing. Shout out to Nissan for providing me with the rolling VIP room via the Nissan Armada. Thanks to all my teammates for the support and the camaraderie and helping me cross the finish line. And thanks to everybody involved, all the people that came to Alabama to do this epic thing. And prayers up for the family of the woman who did not make it to the end of the race. So I'm so grateful that even though I had to lay down on the lawn at the Capitol, I was able to get up because I hear that there was at least one person who lay down and didn't get back up during that race. It is a very grueling race. There's no shade. There's no, like, the rest stops are naked. And so I'm grateful that I did and that everyone on my team did, and prayers up for the family of the woman that didn't. So with that said, I'm going to close out. We're cutting into the time for prayer time, which is right now at 10:15. And then check out Rev Melissa, on Sit with Rev Melissa at 10:30. I'll be producing that show. And check me out again here tomorrow at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time, 8:45 a.m. Central, where I'll be talking about my journey of becoming my own hero. And maybe I'll still be talking about my run from Selma to Montgomery. Till then, keep doing, be a hero, be your own hero, and remember that now, right now, is better than perfect. Later.